Hello everyone and welcome to this review video, whatever you want to call it. We are doing today a comparison slash a switching between from headphones to IEMs or in-ear monitors. So we're going to discuss the comparisons between the two, what I prefer, and just for reference, the headphones we're comparing today are the Pioneer HDJ X10s. I don't know if you can see that there at all, but that's what we're doing. And the Shure SE535 Pros. So those are our two headphones we're going to compare. We're going to talk about the pros, the cons, the differences, and what my opinion is on it and what I did and why. Let's get to it, guys. So first, we're going to start off with the differences between the two. I'm going to raise 3-4 major points which will explain the differences between the headphones and the in-ear monitors or IEMs. So if I use in-ear monitors or IEMs, they're interchangeable. They are one and the same. These bad boys right here. So obviously mixing style is the first and obvious difference. Now with headphones on, what I would tend to do is if you picture a mixer, don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, but there's a mixer over there. If you picture a mixer, you would generally have your headphones on, living the dream, and you'd use the cue on the individual channel to listen to what's going on, work out what's going on in the song. Now that's interchangeable between the headphones and the IEMs. You tend to have nothing on, no other cues, no master, no channels, no nothing, bar the channel you want to listen to, and you'd listen to it. Okay, this is the song I want to play. Does it do what I expect? Where am I going to mix in? All those things you do when you're queuing a song. At this point, it's where it differs. Typically, with headphones, you'll mix in one of two ways. You'll either use both cues on the channel to listen to it in time. So you'd cue both channels at the exact same point. And you would then, work out, is it in time? Is it right? Am I happy with what they sound like together? You would tend to then either mix with those like it is, or turn both cues off, headphones off, or a single headphone on with just the song you're queuing, and you'll tend to mix like that. At this point, we're heavily dependent on the booth monitors if you're in a big room, because we need those booth monitors for us to understand exactly what the sound sounds like out there without any delay, without any, any reverb or any sound effects coming from the room at all. So tend to have the song we're queuing, the song we're about to come in on this headphone with our booth monitors here to provide audio into our other ear, kind of almost like split cue to a degree. That's generally how we'll mix, or we'll mix both with both cues on and go from there. Now, with in-ear monitors, it's kind of a little bit different. What we would do is, again, obviously cue on the track we're going to do, but we would then use the master to mix with. So we wouldn't take our headphones out, we leave them in, and we just have the master playing. We'd obviously have the master and the cue to work out if they're mixed together and they're happy, or sometimes the cue and the cue, but normally master and channel. And we then just whack our master on and mix in with the master, because obviously what we're hearing through the master cue is exactly what's coming out of the master on the mixer, so we can know that whatever's happening is exactly what's going on out there. And that's kind of how we generally mix with those two. Generally, you would probably have your channels when you're using headphones, your channels, and you'd use your trim to adjust the volume on each track to make them level, with your master set to an arbitrary value. Normally you'd have your trims at a 0 dB and then you'd adjust your master accordingly, tend to be how I've seen people mix in that style. In-ear monitors, you tend to have your master at your master at 0 dB, and then you use your trims to start from low up to high, and then that way, the master's not adding any amplification to it, and you can hear the trims. Everything's the correct level at that point. Whereas if your master's down and your trim's there, then your song you're queuing is going to sound louder than the master, or vice versa if you have your master too high. That tends to how people with in-ear monitors mix, if that makes any sense. If it doesn't, Grab some headphones. You can do it with headphones or in-ear monitors, it doesn't matter. Put your master to different positions, use the master cue button and listen to what it sounds like and work out what, and it will make sense what I'm talking about. So that's a big difference, is obviously the mixing style. Noise isolation. Now, these headphones have some noise isolation. Of course they do. Not a lot, but they have some. My in-ear monitors have a lot because I use them only for mixing. They are designed to take out the background noise and for me to only hear the sound that's coming on. Whereas headphones, we don't do that as much because we're probably going to take them off. So they still have some noise isolation, but nowhere near as much as the in-ear monitors do. So that's a big difference. Size, and in terms of carrying size, this is the case that my in-ear monitors come in. This is the case that my headphones come in. Big difference. So if I want to carry my headphones to a gig, that's a lot more to carry than my in-ear monitors. It's not a pro or a con, it's just, you know, I can fit 4 of these in my bag, whereas I can fit 1 of those in. If I want spares, I can have more spares in my in-ear monitors. But if you've got a big enough bag, it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter. So it's not really a pro or a con as such, it's just something to note. Obviously these are a lot bigger than these. And difference with mixing style and them in general is obviously with in-ear monitors, they're all we've got in our ears. We don't have headphones or anything else. We keep them in our ears. Headphones, if you're playing in a loud club, you're probably going to want to have ear protection on. So you're gonna want ear protection, put simply, because it's way too loud. And obviously, without taking our headphones off all the time, we're constantly hearing the noise exactly as it is. So, why swap? You know, the benefits of swapping from headphones to in-ear monitors. Let's go over those just now. So one of the main points that people raise when we're, you know, clarity of mixing, I guess is the way of saying it. The sound coming out of my in-ear monitors, providing I've got some good in-ear monitors, is going to be as clear as possible, realistically. If I'm using booth monitors, I'm dependent on the equipment there, the cabling, everything like that. I'm depending on the sound engineer to maintain it all correctly. You know, there's a lot of outside contributing factors, you know. It's clearer coming out of my in-ear monitors than it is monitors on stage or listening to the room in general. It just is. Believe me, it's clearer and it sounds phenomenal. Just does. There's also less outside noise and less interference because of that noise isolation we were talking about. We hear a lot less background noise, a lot less noise that's going on. People can talk to me in literally next to me and I won't be able to hear them whilst I've got the master cue on because I need to hear what's going on in my mix. That's the whole point of it. And even when I've got nothing going on, I still have to listen and pay attention to what someone's saying for me to be able to hear them. Which is a benefit in my eyes. Some people might not think so, but we're going to come on to that a little bit. Better for your hearing. Why do I mean that? Well, obviously with the noise isolation, you can have your in-ear monitors a lot quieter than you would headphones because your headphones have to be louder than the outside noise, just like these do. But with more isolation, you can have them quieter to overcome that. Moreover, you don't always need these on because they act as hearing defense. If I'm just searching my library for a song, as long as I can kind of hear what's going on out in the audience, then that's okay. As long as I know music's still playing, that's okay. I can drop them off and use them purely as ear protection. And then when I want to start mixing and get back into it, then I'll put the master cue back on. So it's better for my hearing, better for my ears. Now, as well as that, as I mentioned, it doesn't really matter about the room shape or the booth monitors. So if I'm playing in a room where there's a lot of bounce back off the walls, off the rear of the club, and it sounds really weird coming back at me, that can make it difficult to mix. If there's a delay in processing before it goes into the room, that's going to add a challenge for me to mix by ear. And now if the booth monitors I've got aren't loud enough, they're not very good, they're not clear, that will make it very, very difficult to mix using headphones. So for me, I know I can turn up to a club, it doesn't matter what the room's like, it doesn't matter what the monitors are like, I know I can mix using in-ear monitors, and that's very, very helpful to know. The challenges and why you potentially wouldn't swap from headphones is the isolation from the crowd. Because they drop that noise down so much, you can feel a bit isolated from the crowd. You can't always hear them singing, you can't always hear them shouting. chanting, should I say, and you do feel a little bit disconnected from the room. But there are solutions around that, such as bringing in an outside mic to plug into them, but we're not going into that. But you do feel a bit isolated from the crowd because you're in your own little bubble, which is fantastic, but also a bit of a problem at the same time. So it is a challenge to feel connected and feel one with the room. Now, as well as this, it can be possible to kind of get too focused on what's going on in your headphones. Combine that with the isolation from the crowd, you can tend to sometimes potentially feel like you're just playing to yourself, which could lead to interesting song choices, which could lead to you not paying enough attention to the room. Now, if you've ever seen my TikTok about reading the room, one of the key points I've said is about looking up and seeing what's going on. If I've got my in-ear monitors on, I might not do that as effectively or at all. So I can get too involved in what I'm doing, whether it's, you know, head down and focused or listening to the music. I cannot turn the cue off and listen to the audience. It might be very obvious that the audience there just not singing along, but I think everyone's loving it because I'm just listening to the song in my ears. Consideration. Lastly, a big challenge and a big negative about them is these headphones aren't cheap at all. They're the top of the line Pioneer ones, but they are still cheaper than my in-ear monitors, which are only mid-range. If I wanted to buy the top of the range Shure ones, I'm looking at £900 or so. I think these were $250, $300, whereas these were about $350, $400. So their headphones are cheaper than in-ear monitors because they're more commercially available and they're bigger. Because these are smaller, they've got to fit it into a nitty bitty package, whereas you can have a lot more space to play with on those. So that's also a consideration about money. At the end of the day, money is a consideration. You know, we need to be concerned about these things. And, you know, if I'm playing in clubs and I'm getting, you know, not a lot, shall we say, then spending a lot of money on in-ear monitors might not be worth the investment at that point. And a pair of, you know, these are the HD10s, a pair of HD5s, which set you back around 90 quid, would be more than adequate kind of thing. So it's a consideration around that point. Now, one pro I do want to mention about headphones is durability. I have thrown these across the DJ booth when I've been annoyed about a mix, just yeeted them, and they're still here. They still work. These ones are particularly kind of, you know, indestructible-ish, and they are designed to take a bit of a beating. But I know my friend who uses HD8, HD25s. He's thrown his around, and they stay well. I wouldn't want to throw my in-ear monitors around. I would be very, very scared they're going to get broken because they are very fragile. So it's a consideration that headphones tend to be more durable and have more replaceable parts. So that is a big pro for headphones, not so much for in-ear monitors. And some people prefer the feel of headphones. People can find that in-ear monitors are uncomfortable, and it does take a while to get used to wearing them, whereas headphones tend to be quite comfortable to wear. So there are a couple of pros for your headphones as well, because they're easy. I can easily name pros for headphones and pros for in-ear monitors, but I want to keep it short. It's not even close to short, but I want to keep it as short as I can. So, my closing thoughts and my final opinion, and would I recommend it? Yes. In my opinion, I do not regret moving from headphones to in-ear monitors for my situation, okay? I'm a club DJ and I only DJ clubs. If I was a mobile DJ, I probably wouldn't want to use in-ear monitors because I would be too disconnected from the crowd. I could do it, sure, of course, but I probably would prefer to use headphones in that situation. Plus, I don't tend to hand the music doesn't tend to be as loud as a mobile gig, whereas it does at a club. So that's something to think about. Is obviously one of the negatives and one of the pros about the in-ear monitors is that noise isolation and the hearing protection. Not so relevant if you're a mobile jock. So for me, yes, in my situation, I totally recommend it. Going to different venues with booth monitors, room setups, well worth it. For a mobile jock, maybe not so much. But again, mobile jocks, you still go to multiple rooms in multiple venues and you can only put your speakers in a certain position. And if there's feedback from the room and there's reverb and everything going on in the room, then you might benefit from in-ear monitors. You can buy a set of in-ear monitors a lot cheaper than I've brought there. So, is it one case fits all? No. But would I recommend trying it? Yes. And I hope that makes sense. I hope you agree with me. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Did you swap from headphones to in-ears? Have you swapped from in-ears back to headphones? What are your pros? What are your cons? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, guys. Good speak. Bye-bye.